So with that, good afternoon, Rotarians, sponsors, and guests. My name is Scott Schneider. I have the very good fortune of being the president of this great club. I'm super excited to be here and more excited really to welcome everyone to our 18th annual Cary Rotary Club Town Bank Chili Dinner fundraising event. This year will look a little bit different than in years past, no doubt. But we'll bring the same level of passion to this very important cause in past years, as in past years, that is. During the last 17 years, we've either delivered to you or served your chili in person. We've been able to visit and share stories and commiserate and really thank each other for the good work that this event allows us to do. And we'll learn more about this as today's program proceeds. The unique part about today is that it created a very challenging situation for our chili dinner committee. This committee is a devoted group of Rotarians that we're not going to be denied. There's a lot of things that were thrown our way that we obviously didn't expect, anticipate, or want. We want to see you in person, but that wasn't possible this year. And so our chili dinner committee deserves a huge hand of applause because they're the ones that have gotten us to this place. So we start practicing and really working on this event the day after the previous event ends. And so last year when this event ended, we were looking forward to meeting in person today. Obviously things happen and not able to do that. We were going to do a drive-up, a chili dinner drive-up. Next best thing, you still get your chili, but it would be in a safer type of environment. That wasn't possible. Chili dinner committee would not be denied. They would not give up. And so what you're going to see now is one of the coolest things I think you'll ever see as a result of having to adapt, adjust, and really change your entire format compared to how you've done it the previous 17 years. And so today we'll fulfill our promise and purpose to assist organizations in our communities and international who are addressing critical hunger and food insecurity needs. It's my hope that everybody has fun, learns something new, and most importantly, enjoys today's virtual event. It's very important. A lot of work went into it, and I'm just so proud of everybody who has been able to get us to this point. And with that said, it's now my pleasure to introduce our club vice president and co-chili dinner committee chair, Rod Brooks. Take it away, Rod.
Thank you, President Scott. I really appreciate your comments. And of course, I will say this year has been challenging and to plan this event. And of course, the decision to conduct this event virtually was not by any means made lightly. But I will say, as Scott alluded to, when it came down to it, there was no question that we had to go forward. We knew that we had to do all we could to raise funds for hunger relief this year. We realized that as people have lost jobs and the ability to work due to COVID, that hunger and food insecurity in our community around the world has increased. Just some of the statistics that we'll share with you here, of course, more than 800 million people, 821 million people around the world suffer from hunger. Here in the US, 50 million Americans, including 17 million children, were considered food insecure by the end of 2020. And that was a double-digit increase compared to those rates in 2018. In North Carolina, nearly 1.5 million people currently struggle with hunger and food insecurity, with nearly a third of them being children. And African-American individuals in our community are 2.5 times more likely to experience food insecurity. So we knew we had to move on. And I will say, though, as Scott alluded to, if there is a silver lining in doing our event this way, it's that this year's virtual event gives us the opportunity to do something that we've never done before, which is to hear directly from our event sponsors and some of the beneficiary organizations during our event. So I'm actually very excited about this opportunity and really appreciate our folks joining us today. Just to give you a little bit of context, this is our 18th annual chili dinner event. And in 17 years, our club has donated nearly $475,000 to address hunger. Traditionally, 70% of those funds that we raise go to address hunger internationally, and that's done in collaboration with our partner organization, Rise Against Hunger. 30% of the funds were donated to local hunger relief organizations serving people right here in our community. Now, to give you an idea of what this event looked like, a year ago, we were gathered at the Kirk of Kildare Presbyterian Church in Cary. Starting early in the morning and staying until late in the evening, more than 60 of our club members set up the church, served more than 1,200 meals at lunch and at dinner, delivered those meals to eligible sponsors, and last year's event netted nearly $37,000 for hunger relief. Now, we are disappointed, of course, that we were not able to serve chili, but we hope that you'll enjoy preparing some of our favorite recipes that were sent to you earlier as somewhat of a small consolation. So do enjoy those recipes that were sent out. Now, I have to say that the Rotary Club of Cary's commitment to ending hunger goes back some 2 decades. 20 years ago, club members decided to forgo lunch and donate what they would have spent so that others could eat. That was the first of many activities that our club has conducted to help end hunger. I remember back in 2006, just after Rise Against Hunger had established its meal packaging program, District Governor Tim Mannix, who's a member of our club, challenged our district to package 1 million meals. With our club leading the way, the district packaged 1.4 million meals during that Rotary year, and we established a model that other Rotary districts have emulated around the country. It's this commitment to ending hunger and our club members' dedication to service above self and the leadership that our club has demonstrated, it's why I'm so proud to be a member of the Rotary Club of Cary. And so that brings us back to this year's event. If you look at our thermometer there, we are close, but we have not quite reached our goal of more than $35,000 to be raised for this event. I will have you note that due to the challenge that COVID has created in our community, we are allocating a little higher percentage of funds raised locally. But if you've not yet donated, it's not too late. And there's still the opportunity to encourage others to help. So what you can do is you can go on to our website or refer our website to others. It's listed there on the screen. And please encourage others to join our effort here. But what I'd like to do now is to recognize everyone who has contributed, who has already committed to make this year a success. And for that, I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Eric Schmidt. Eric?
Rod, thank you very much. I know a lot of people that are watching today are sponsors. Without sponsors, this event doesn't happen. Each year we have between 90 and 120 sponsors at all levels. And a lot of these sponsors are local businesses and the rest are families and individuals. They all have something in common, and that's a desire to give back and help fight hunger. Each sponsor has an impact, but all of our sponsors together multiply the impact of their donations. It's truly a community coming together to help others. So right now, we'd like to recognize some of our sponsors and hear in their own words why it is that they support this fundraiser. I'd like to bring on Scott Gardner. Scott, will you introduce some of our sponsors, please?
Great, thanks, Eric. Happy to have with us today Town Bank and their president, Brian Reed. For quick background on Town Bank, they started in 1999 with 3 banking offices and have since grown to 42 offices across North Carolina and Virginia. The bank's success is rooted in local leadership, community development, volunteerism, and that's evident here at home in the Triangle. Town Bank has been placed in the top 50 banks on the Forbes Best Banks in America list the past 2 years. Brian Reed is president of Town Bank Triangle. He is active throughout the community, including board seats with the Town of Cary Economic Development Board, the Cary Chamber of Commerce, and the Greater Raleigh Chamber of Commerce. Brian has been recognized for his leadership, including the Cary Family YMCA Decades of Service Award and the Wake County Awards for Volunteer Service. Brian is active with the American Heart Association, the YMCA of the Triangle, and the Cary Rotary Club. Brian, welcome to today's call. Before we get into some quick remarks from Brian, I'd like to share with you a little more about Town Bank's commitment to local markets during the pandemic.
My name is Brian Reed. I'm the president of Town Bank here in the Triangle, and we are honored to be a part of this Out and About program. Well, and the difficult thing is Out and About these days looks a whole lot different. There's the virtual Out and About that we're enjoying with friends and family on the computer screen. There is staying home. We're doing all the right things. And here at Town Bank, we are open for business, being one of the essential businesses as designated by the government. But we're following all the proper protocol and making sure that our clients and our employees stay safe. You know, there's been a lot of dialogue in regards to the Paycheck Protection Plan under the CARE Act, which was recently passed by the Senate, the House, and the President signed it. The final details of this are being worked out right now. The short of it is these could be life-saving funds for small businesses, typically defined as 500 employees or less. For a lot more detail, go to www.sba.gov for information. Lastly, I would like to highlight nonprofits. Town Bank has been blessed to serve many nonprofits in the communities we serve. This is a very difficult time. The spring is a time for many of them to have walks or breakfasts or lunch or dinners that would raise critical funds for their missions. Unfortunately, many have been postponed and several canceled, but the need still exists. So I challenge you, if you don't already have a nonprofit or several nonprofits that you are passionate about, serve and support, please find one. Try to still frequent the businesses in your community, and if there's anything we can do, please let us know.
Great. Brian, are you with us?
Scott, thank you. Gosh, I tell you what, that little public announcement I did was in early April. So as you saw, the little video of the folks near the teller counter looks completely different today. There's a lot of plexiglass, there's stickers, there's Purell dispensers, everybody has masks on. So it's that's not even probably 10 months old, and it's amazing how the world's changed since then. So guys, it's great to see everybody. Obviously, I wish I could be shaking hands and hugging and doing the things that our wonderful club does all the time. Town Bank is honored to be a part of this. For those who are on the call that have been with the club a long time, I think I'm now getting close to 22 years with the club. We used to have something called a pancake supper. And I think Bob Hatley, I could be wrong on this, I think my old boss, still a member, a senior active in the club, was the one that kind of said, hey guys, we're not making any money on our pancake supper. Why don't we try something different? And we went the chili route. And I tell you what, Rod, that's amazing. Almost $500,000 that have been raised. That's unbelievable. So just again, honored for us to be a part of this great organization and doing the good that we do.
That's great, Brian. Thank you. A couple questions for you. You touched on it a little bit. Town Bank, and well before that, Paragon Bank, has been a longtime sponsor of the annual chili dinner. What makes this event so special to you personally?
Well, since we transformed it to chili, and since we had those funds going to folks that are challenged in having an appropriate food and meal, you know, it's like many of the people on this call who have done great things in our community. You know, we sow those seeds out there, and we never know directly the positive impact that it'll have. We won't probably know the millions of stories that these dollars and the food that have been purchased are affecting people across the world. So it's one of those ones. It's a basic necessity that we take for granted probably every day. So it's just wonderful to be able to raise those funds to make such an impact worldwide.
That's great. Thank you. Another question, and you touched on it in your opening remarks. COVID-19 and the pandemic has clearly led to a lot of change. Can you talk to the positive changes it may have led to with Town Bank and the future of how banking might come to life with your customers?
With anything that happens in our world, both positive and negative, there are good things that come from it. And it's interesting how we've been able to create relationships less in person. I will say I'm a hugger, a shaker. So because it's hard to do that here over the computer. So I look forward to us being able to do more of that, but I have a feeling it will be different as we go forward. There'll be a lot more precaution that we never even thought of in the past. Thankfully, technology, along with everything we've done in banking, you can make deposits with these guys. There may be some folks on the phone didn't do that before, but now they're like, holy cow, with my phone, I can actually take a check and make a deposit. So using technology for some folks, it probably threw them into that cold water that they weren't thinking they were going to go into, but it's at least allowed us to serve our clients despite what we're going through.
Yeah, that's great. Last question. Thanks for your time again.
Sure.
You mentioned you're 22 years in Rotary. That's an awesome accomplishment. For you, what makes Rotary special to you?
It's just the relationships. It's getting to know your fellow, Rotarian member, caring about them and in so many different ways, personally, professionally, having fun. I mean, I miss being able to stand up in front of the group and say, I'm just not in a fighting mood today, but if I were in a fighting mood, I'd sit here and say, we've got the battle of the beards going on between Scott and Eric. And for that, I think it's $1, so I do miss that camaraderie, that fun that we have as a group in person. And I do look forward to that coming back, hopefully sooner versus later. But obviously, I know we need to continue to be safe. So it's the friendships and the relationships and the camaraderie.
Yeah, that's great. Brian, thanks so much for all you do for the community, for your customers, your employees. It's an honor to call you fellow Rotarian. Appreciate you being here today.
Scott, it's an honor to be here. So thank you, guys.
Okay, had a great chat with Brian there, our named sponsor for this event. I'd like to shift gears and spotlight our event sponsor, Atlantic Tire and Service, and its owner, Anthony Blackman. Anthony, are you with us today? You might need to unmute.
There we go.
There you are. Good afternoon, sir. Thanks for being here.
Good. Nice to see y'all.
Yeah, you too, buddy. Hey, for the group in attendance, just want to give a quick recap of Atlantic Tire and Service. They've supported the Triangle for more than 20 years. Atlantic Tire's success is rooted in a commitment to excellent customer care, competitive pricing, and a reinvestment back into the local markets it serves. Its owner, Anthony Blackman, he's a role model for a purpose-driven servant leader who deeply cares about making a difference locally. And over the years, Atlantic Tire has contributed to nearly 50 local charities, schools, and organizations. And Anthony remains really active in lots of groups, including all the various chambers of commerce, the Boy Scouts of America, and of course, the Cary Rotary Club, to name a few. There are lots of awards and recognition that Anthony and Atlantic Tire have received, too many for me to mention today, but a couple I wanted to highlight for the group. Over the years, Atlantic Tire has been identified and recognized as Business of the Year by both the Cary and Morrisville Chambers of Commerce, Tire Dealer of the Year in North Carolina, the first ever two-time recipient of the Top Shop of North America by the Tire Review Trade Magazine. And then for Anthony personally, we know him, we love him. He's won the Cary Chamber Citizen of the Year Award and most recently the Cary Hometown Spirit Award. Anthony, welcome to the event. It's a pleasure to have you with us today, sir.
Well, thank you, Scott. That's very kind. Kind remarks.
Yeah. So a couple questions like we asked Brian. Love to get your personal reflections on, Atlantic Tire has been a longtime sponsor of this chili dinner. For you, what makes this event and its impact so important?
Scott, it's very, obviously, it's very special to us. And we've had a long history of sharing and giving back to our community, but none do we give back to with a greater feeling of happiness is this organization here. It addresses one of the primary needs in the world today, and that's, y'all mentioned it earlier, food insecurity, which is so hard to imagine in this world, this time, we're still having to deal with that. But we're making strides to eliminate that or reducing it. The funding of the chili dinner allows our community to help reduce that food insecurity. And we are very, very proud to be associated with this. And the efforts y'all make as a club coming together and working so hard. Rod, you brought me aboard years ago. You made a believer out of me. Now you can't get rid of me, I guess. But I would certainly like to say, yeah, we love this charity. We love this organization, and certainly applaud the efforts of everyone in the committee and the regular Rotary Club in making this happen each year.
That's awesome. Thank you. As we've clearly are experiencing right now, we've all had to adapt to the pandemic. We asked Brian about its impact at Town Bank. How about for you with Atlantic Tire? What kind of maybe positive changes have you seen, or do you foresee in the future having to adapt your business operations to the pandemic?
Good question. Has it been impactful? You better believe it. We went from 60, an average of 60 of customers a day down to 25 and 30. And that certainly takes its toll. But being declared an essential business, at least our employees were here working. And they saw many of the neighbors weren't working, and they saw the effect on them and all. But it has made a difference. And in positive areas too, we now realize how interconnected we are as people. That by me sitting in your car, and if I had sanitized your car and had seat covers and floor mats, I could spread that virus to you. So we feel very responsible for that. But when we noticed that people were very reluctant to go out, particularly the at-risk group, we went to them. We started advertising, saying, we'll come pick up your car. You don't have to touch us. We'll touch your car, but it'll be desanitized when it comes back after we deliver it all. And we have made a big, big effort on that. And we realize that even without the pandemic, there's a lot of people that would rather us come and pick up their car and to take that inconvenience away from them and get it back desanitized and taken care of for it. So that's one area that's really changed for us. We'll even after the pandemic's passed, and I hopefully it's sooner than later, we will continue to do that. There's a lot of elderly people in our community that need that type of assistance, and we're going to continue to do that. One other thing that we knew that when we came to this community, not only do we want to help you with the automotive, we want to help the community as a whole. And that commitment has stayed very strong and steadfast. And last month, we donated $15,000 to minority-owned businesses that have been impacted by the civil unrest and the pandemic in Southeast Raleigh. And that's our way of showing them we care. We know as a small businessman what you're going through, and we want to help you. And all we ask is someday in the future, if they can't help somebody when they get back on their feet and stuff, and share what they have with others and all. But that was, I tell you, there's hardly a recipient that I spoke to that we all didn't have tears in our eyes, because it's such an emotional thing that they knew that somebody from our community cared about their life business and them, and it was very, very emotional doing that to them. But I hope that they will share in the future with others like we've been able to.
Very moving, Anthony. That's fantastic. Thank you for that. Last question, and again, thanks for your time today with us.
Yes, sir.
You're also a longtime Rotarian. For you personally, what's special to you about Rotary and your involvement, and what it's allowed you to do personally and as a group?
I tell you, I started Rotary, my first experience, they would select high school students that were active in their student government and asked us to come to Rotary and speak. I didn't know what Rotary was. I knew it was a bunch of well-heeled men that went to the Elks Club and had drinks and had lunch, and that's about it. But when I left there, I knew that sometime in my future, that being a Rotarian would be a part of my being, and I certainly did that. Once I got my business up and going and could financially, do it, I went out looking for Rotary clubs, and I was so fortunate, so blessed to find the one that I did. The people in this club are exceptional. They're community spirited, and I couldn't have found a better fit for me. But I was looking up some stuff last night, and people really don't know how involved we are, not only in our local community, but in the global community. I'm in Scotland. I see Rotary Club meeting signs. I'm in Ireland. I'm in England. I'm in Italy. A chamber, when I saw a membership meeting times there and everything. And that's pretty awesome. And but the good we do in our community, from reducing hunger, injustice, and literacy, racism, or the worldwide effects of polio, is awesome. But all the differences we have in the world today. I mean, we have a lot of struggles going on between countries, and a lot of misunderstanding and distrust. And this is called World Understanding Month through Rotary. And it really commemorates the anniversary of the first meeting of Rotary held on February 23rd, 1905. And this has been designated as World Understanding and Peace Day. And certainly we need that today. As Rotary clubs take up that mantle and say, we're going to push forward with this, have more understanding between all peoples. And like I mentioned earlier, not many civic clubs have a global presence like the Rotary Club does. I'm extremely proud to be associated with them, and the Rotarians today who are making food insecurity more tolerable for us. And for 18 years of doing that, and year after year, growing in the funds and the work that goes into it. I sincerely applaud the efforts of all of y'all. You're a wonderful group of people, wonderful friends, and very, very proud to be associated with the Rotary Club.
Anthony, thank you. The pleasure is ours. You're a fantastic leader and very empathetic and self-aware as a leader. So thanks for all you do. Thanks for being here today.
I think Scott has got the beard. The beard award. Eric, you're in there though.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Anthony.
Hey, thank y'all for all you're doing. Really proud of you.
Yep. Bye-bye. All right. I'd like to, so had a fantastic time with both Brian Reed at Town Bank and Anthony Blackman, our two top sponsors. I'd like to turn it back to Eric for a quick run through of other key sponsors. Back to you, sir.
Scott, thank you very much. And Brian and Anthony, thank you both for all of your contributions to the chili dinner. We couldn't do it without you. There's a whole bunch of other people, our presenting sponsors and our other levels, and I'm just going to quickly run through all of the sponsors at the presenting level, and then we'll show you the presenting level, other presenting levels. Our presenting sponsors are those who donate at a level between $1,000 and $2,499. And as you can see, we've got the logos up there, and in the upper left corner, you're going to see Harold K. Jordan and Company General Contractors. Hal and his company have been presenting sponsors since the very first chili dinner 18 years ago. You probably recognize the name because there's a good chance that you've seen the Harold K. Jordan and Company signs at construction sites around the triangle. In addition to being a presenting sponsor for every chili dinner, Hal has been instrumental in planning and running meal packaging events for Rise Against Hunger. In the lower left corner, you see the UPS stores. The UPS stores at Cary, Stone Creek Village, Apex, Cameron Village, and North Hills have been proud sponsors of this event and hunger relief for the last 10 years. And just above the UPS store, you'll see GH Jordan Development Company, no relation to Hal Jordan, but George Jordan, he's also a member of our club, and his company have been presenting sponsors for 10 years now. His business develops commercial real estate, mostly in the Cary area. In the upper right corner, you see CMC Hotels, and for the last 7 years, CMC has been a presenting sponsor. Gary and Sean Chabra, both members of our Rotary Club, are the CEO and president respectively. CMC manages, develops, and builds hotels and commercial properties. And right below CMC, you see Faulkner Haynes and Associates. For the last 5 years, Faulkner Haynes has been a presenting sponsor. They're the premier provider of commercial HVAC and IT infrastructure, power and cooling solutions in the Carolinas. And Ernie Faulkner, the founder of the business, is a member of our club. Down in the lower right corner, you'll see S&A Communications. You probably would more recognize them as the owners of Cary magazine. S&A Communications has been a longtime in-kind sponsor of the chili dinner, and they've provided us with publicity and written extensively about the chili dinner and its impact. And then you see Winfield & Associates Marketing and Advertising. That happens to be my business, and we specialize in Google advertising and email marketing. I've been on the chili dinner committee since the very first chili dinner. The reason that I stay on it year after year is because the impact that we have through this event is amazing, and it just makes you feel great to participate. So thank you to all of our presenting sponsors. Now we're going to move on to the corporate sponsors, and corporate sponsorship is at a contribution level of $500 to $999. And so you see at the top BB&T, which is now becoming Truist Bank. Fink's Jewelers, and Fink's has been there since the beginning, if I recall correctly, because Fink's is run by Neil Lagarde, who happened to be the very first chairman of the chili dinner. And then the Dick and Jean Ladden, and Dick was one of the founders of our club, and the Dick and Jean Ladd Foundation. Kent Thompson was a member of our club for many, many years, and the club secretary as well. Most people probably would recognize him. Transworld Business Advisors of Raleigh, the Cardinal at North Hills, Christ Episcopal Church, and Jerry and Stephanie Bynum. So thank you to all of our corporate sponsors. Our business sponsors are at the level of donating between $300 and $499, and you probably recognize quite a few of the names that are here. A lot of these people have been longtime sponsors as well, starting with Ashworth Pharmacy in the upper left corner, Woodland Terrace, Cary, Underwood and Roberts, Mac Wooten, Shaver Consulting, Tim Nehring, Adcock Agency, Behringer Sasser. So a bunch of business sponsors that have been with us for a fairly long time. And then finally, we're going to get to our table sponsors, and I can't read all of them because there are so many. And we always have a lot. This is people who have donated in the $175 to $299 range, but you'll see a lot of people who are on the committee itself. You see Rod and his wife Terry in the upper left-hand corner. You see Scott Snyder, who's our current president, as well as a number of other members that are on the committee, members of our club, their friends, their relatives. So these people are in the table sponsor range is $175 to $299, and the combination of the table sponsors, the business sponsors, the corporate sponsors, the presenting sponsors, our event sponsor, and the naming sponsor combined are the real power here and what makes all of this possible. So my heartfelt thank you to everybody who contributes to the chili dinner. And now I'm going to turn the mic over to Ron Stanton. Ron?
All right, thank you, Eric, very much. You know, as past president of our Rotary Club, I've been involved with this chili dinner for the last 15, 16 years. And I just want to thank our sponsors and our members for their support. And you can be immensely proud seeing your donations at work throughout the world. And, you know, as we think about those that are concerned about their next meal, we need to keep in mind that, you know, no child should wonder if they will eat today. Let me just say that again. No child should wonder if they're going to eat today. You'll hear in a minute from two organizations that we support, Rise Against Hunger and Dorcas Ministries, that help make sure children have their next meal. Rod mentioned earlier that our Rotary Club has donated over $475,000 to support international and local hunger relief. And over the years, our Rotary Club has supported local organizations such as Interstate Food Shuttle, Meals on Wheels, Brown Bag Ministries, Read and Feed, Interactive Wake County, Dorcas Ministries, and the others you see on this list that have a major impact in feeding people. Now I'd like to turn the program over to Ken Tyma, who is a member, and he'll interview representatives from two of the organizations we support, Rise Against Hunger and Dorcas Ministries. Ken.
Well, thank you, Ron. As you mentioned, we're going to hear from a couple of the organizations that have been recipients of the support from the chili dinner. We're going to start with the international one, Rise Against Hunger. Rise Against Hunger is an organization that partners with nonprofits around the world to provide food and other transformational assistance to those affected by hunger. Together with these partners, they support a variety of development programs to work with members of the community and meet their basic needs and create long-term sustainable change. Scott, can you roll that video clip?
You are about to go on a journey to see how a Rise Against Hunger meal makes it into the hands of those who need it most. Welcome to one of Rise Against Hunger's school feeding programs located in Lusaka, Zambia, where over 40 children gather to learn and share a lunch. For many of these children, this will be their only meal of the day. These meals do more than just nourish the body. They allow the students to focus, advance their education, and most importantly, provide hope for a brighter future. Every day, Rise Against Hunger meals are served around the globe in medical clinics, vocational training programs, elder care facilities, and schools just like this. Each meal is a moment to celebrate. It's a step on the path to zero hunger by the year 2030. Let's take a look at how each of these moments is made possible. It all begins when a group gathers to host and take part in a meal packaging event. Before the big day, raw ingredients are ordered, prepped, and loaded onto Rise Against Hunger trucks to be delivered. When the event is set up, volunteers begin filing in, donning gloves and hairnets and getting settled at their stations, knowing with confidence that alongside their friends, family, and members of the community, they are going to be changing lives with each meal they package. At the conclusion of a meal packaging event, these pallets are sent to our on-the-ground partners via shipping containers. After reaching the destination port, containers are unloaded and pallets of meals are distributed to our impact partners. The meals are prepared in bulk to feed the children at the school. The effect of these meals is community-wide. The hands at our meal packaging events are the last ones to touch the meals before they are unboxed and served to those children and families who need them the most. Together, we can create a world where hunger doesn't exist.
Thank you, Scott. So everybody, I know a lot of you have taken part in those meal packaging events. They're really a lot of fun, actually. I've been involved with two of them. And now we're going to talk with Edna Agwani. She's the Chief Impact Officer of Rise Against Hunger. Edna is a native of Kenya and has worked in the international development field for more than 25 years. She has experience in areas of economic development, food and nutrition security, nonprofit management, and her passion is to alleviate hunger, create food security spaces among underprivileged and vulnerable populations, and empower women to thrive in their communities. Welcome, Edna.
Thank you, Ken.
So Edna, we saw in the opening video there a little bit about the immediate impact of providing the meals for the hungry children, filling their bellies, giving them the energy to learn. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about the long-term benefits that they see from the meals?
Thank you so much, Ken, and thanks to everyone who's listening and who's been a really dedicated sponsor to food insecurity issues. I know earlier on, I think the president of Tony Bank Brian talked about that you plant the seed, but sometimes you don't end up to see the impact of that seed. I just want to highlight today that the impact is real. So while you saw in the video the short-term impact of filling the tummies for these kids, we'll see the long-term impacts every single day. And we see them in two different pathways. nutrition pathway where we see the children grow who are really stunted, and sometimes maybe they could not really survive down the road, but because of the healthy, nutritious meals, they are able to grow healthy kids and become strong young women and men in the society. On the learning pathway, which is education pathway, we see kids coming to school because of the meals that they are provided. They get to be enrolled, so there is higher enrollment, higher attendance, but that's not really enough. The performance is really spiking up, but then graduation rates are really key for us because once kids learn and they graduate, there you have a spark of a productive citizenry in that community. And what we do, the meals that you've seen that are being packaged do not just fill a tummy, they bring hope and opportunity to the children, but to the communities. I've seen during my time here at Rise Against Hunger, we've graduated doctors, we have lawyers, we have teachers, because of the hope and opportunity of the meals that they've gotten. So the long-term impact is just monumental for all of us. And I want to thank the donors here at the Rotary Club. What you do, it's an impact that is lasting and makes a difference to every single child that we provide a meal.
That's wonderful stuff. And I was going to ask how the funds are deployed, but I think you answered that question in your answer there. So how about if I ask, what do you think are the two biggest challenges that Rise Against Hunger is going to face in 2021, and how's the organization going to address them?
That's a great question. COVID-19 brought a lot of disruption in 2020, and we really needed to shift quite a bit in 2020. Now that we are in 2021, we still see some of the challenges, which include resources, and resources in two areas. Volunteers, as you see, our meal packaging involves a lot of volunteers. With social distancing and with the restrictions that we haven't managed to have the maximum number of volunteers back to package meals, although we've resumed to package our meals, but the scale is still small. So that's a challenge that we're trying to mitigate and manage. Of course, the resources of the cash dollars, because everybody is struggling in the United States, especially, there's a lot of challenge, people, a lot of jobs. So we've seen that as a big challenge. Now, we can't just sit down and just live because there's a greatest need for food insecurity. So we've created a COVID-19 resilience and relief plan for us. And this is really very adaptable for us to shift. If we can't package enough meals here in the United States, we've also asked people to give us cash dollars that we can do local procurement. And this has really helped us to continue the school feeding programs in country where we are. So we have cash dollars, we issue small grants, we buy food locally, and then go cook the food in the schools. Then the other thing that we've adapted, as you see, we do long-term sustainability programs. We've accelerated those so that we can work with households and communities to grow more food so that they can also distribute those to schools. So we've looked at various ways of how we've adjusted as we mitigate the disruptions that we have currently for COVID-19.
And that's great. And thank you so much for participating with us today. It's kind of amazing to me to realize that what we do here in Little Cary, North Carolina, has that impact all the way across on the other side of the globe. And I think we should all be proud of what we're doing. And we're certainly very grateful to what you and the organization are doing for children that we might not be able to reach out to another way.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Best to you and Rise Against Hunger in the coming year. And I know that we'll help every way that we can.
Thank you so much.
You bet. So let's move a little closer to home now and talk about the Dorcas Ministries. I know pretty much everyone on the call knows Howard Manning. In June of 1968, with backing from local churches, Dorcas Ministries was formed as originally Christian Community in Action. Dorcas Ministries has always and continues to strive to find solutions to the increasing and different needs of the community, hoping to make a difference in the life of our neighbors. 50 years ago, or a little over 50 years ago, Dorcas began to help with food, gas, transportation for medical appointments, and other concerns as presented to the Dorcas members. Now, they offer programs that include financial and food assistance, emergency housing, career advancement programs, continued child care scholarships, jobs for life, and other training programs, and since 2015 have been voted the best charity of Western Wake County. Scott, can you roll that quick video we have?
I'm Deborah Morgan, evening news anchor at WREL, an NBC affiliate here in the Triangle. I'd like to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to lend your support to Dorcas Ministries, a nonprofit that has been helping our neighbors in Cary and Morrisville for more than 52 years. Dorcas Ministries is one of the most award-winning and impactful nonprofits in North Carolina, serving tens of thousands of people each year with food, financial assistance, and job readiness training.
Our motto has always been providing help when it counts. I will draw your attention to that word help that has changed over 51 years of existence. Dorcas, being the nimble and the flexible organization that we are, has enabled us to respond to different needs during different times. The biggest impact that we saw with revenue generation, of course, was having to close our thrift shop. The thrift shop generates about 75 to 80% of all our funds, not just for client distribution, but for salaries, keeping the lights on, and keeping the operation running. For 2.5 months, that went from about $2,000 an hour to zero. So imagine at the same time, your main revenue source going to zero, the need for your products and services quadrupling. That's actually what we faced for the last 3 to 4 months. But thanks to a generous community that we have, thanks to hard work and development and marketing, thanks to our client services working online virtually, we've been able to not miss a beat when it comes to providing service. We have not turned away any customer for financial assistance, for food assistance because of lack of resources. And for that, we're blessed. And we certainly say thank you to the community. Couldn't have done it without you. Of course, our beginning over 50 years ago was very humble. I can remember our first food pantry actually being a file cabinet. This year, during the pandemic, our food distribution has increased almost 4-fold, to where we are serving in food assistance alone about $75,000 per month. That compares to a pre-pandemic distribution of about $31,000 a month. So the rippling effects of the pandemic are nowhere near over. Things that we take for granted and it seems simple, but we've got families with kids at home now. So maybe the family had to much time make a monthly decision about food and bills, and now it's almost an everyday decision. So because of the generosity of our churches and our civic organizations and individuals that continue to donate to our food pantry, we're able to be that safety net for so many of our citizens.
Thank you, Scott. I think most of you know Howard Manning. He's the executive director at Dorcas Ministries and, of course, a member of the Cary Rotary Club. Howard's a native of Maxton, North Carolina, but has resided in Cary for 38 years. Howard has been at Dorcas since 2005, after holding several management and executive positions at both Revlon Cosmetics and GlaxoSmithKline Pharmaceuticals, prior to his retiring in 2003. He accepted the position of executive director in 2006 and remains in that role today. Welcome, Howard.
Hey, how you can? Thank you, sir.
Howard, we saw in that video clip that 2020 has been an exceptionally challenging year for Dorcas. Can you tell us a little bit more of how the needs of people are different in the time of COVID versus past years?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I guess you'd say the most prevalent thing, Ken, was that our demand was way up, not just in the number of people we served, but the amount of help that was needed by each person. For a good example, pre-pandemic, most of the time we were helping people out with a portion of their rent. They had some resources, either their own or other places they could go to. Of course, during the pandemic, most of the time it was all of my housing assistance, and maybe not just 1 month, maybe 2 or 3 months in arrears. So we had a larger number of clients that we were serving, and each client had a much larger need. Another thing that was very prevalent during the pandemic was a demographics in the change of the clients that we were serving. Our typical client after the pandemic, believe it or not, has been a white female in the hospitality or the leisure business that is now not just underemployed, but unemployed. Of course, the pandemic magnified several problems that were prevalent before the pandemic, as far as lack of housing, food insecurity. We had people that were working 2 or 3 jobs to kind of make ends meet, but one of those jobs went away, or in some cases, both of them went away. Another big need during the pandemic was helping people navigate. Of course, I think it was April when the first stimulus package was passed and the CARES Act was passed, and the states put out programs, the county put out programs, but the communication was not that well down at the grassroots level. So a lot of our time was spent actually helping people get to the funding streams and the revenue streams that have been created by local, state, and federal governments, and then also having Dorcas stand in the gaps. Just a quick example of how that helped us. House Wake had deeper pockets than we did when it came to rent. So there were plenty of times when we could refer a patient to House Wake for their rental assistance or their mortgage assistance. Then we could take Dorcas funds and help provide transportation and childcare, which was 2 big needs that surfaced during the pandemic. And of course, not to beat a dead horse to death, but the most impactful part of the pandemic for us was losing our major revenue generator, which was the Dorcas Thrift Shop. But I'm so proud to say that we were very, very humbled by the community support, individually as well as agencies that rose to the occasion. And I think you heard me say on that video that because of that tremendous swell of support, we didn't miss a beat. We didn't turn anybody down, and we have not, as we sit today and talk, had to turn away anybody because we didn't have the resources.
Great stuff, Howard. Great stuff. So how does Dorcas redeploy the proceeds from an event like the chili dinner? And what kind of an impact does the financial support have?
Well, first, can we redeploy those resources along with other resources? Resources we get from the individuals, from the Rotary clubs, from the few government sources that we do get it from. We pool them all together, and they make a big collective impact on the community and the areas that we do serve. Now, you did mention cash, and I'm going to use that as a good opportunity to say that we can fight food insecurity at Dorcas, believe it or not, better than we do with material donations. When I say, I'm just saying the canned goods and all. So I'm not saying don't bring stuff to our food pantry because we need to keep it stocked. But we had a lot of financial donations for people designated for food insecurity. We were able to go to our partners like Public and Food Line and purchase a bunch of gift cards. As a matter of fact, one of the 2 grocery stores, I won't call the name, donated a bunch of additional gift cards with it. So what we did during the Christmas season was, along with food bags that we gave out, we also gave food cards. We're pretty big on dignity for our clients. So when you go to a grocery store and you got a food card, nobody knows if you get it from an agency helping you or if it was a gift from your grandparents or whatever. So pooling those resources together helps us. And then we can also go to the food bank and buy much more commodities than an individual can buy. Also, as far as capacity building, enabling us to continue our services. During the pandemic, because of the housing need, we actually hired 1.5 FTEs when it comes to housing counselors. So we had to have funds to afford those salaries. And also it reflects the kind of support that we receive from the community. And I don't think I can use a better example than of Rotary. I had a Rotarian call me about 2 weeks before Christmas and told me that he wanted to make a sizable donation to Dorcas Ministries instead of his whole family sharing Christmas. So this individual, the patriot, the matriarch, their children and their grandchildren all pooled together. Instead of buying presents for each other, they made a very, very large donation to Dorcas Ministries. And I can't tell you how much that money meant to help us with capacity building, feeding people, and helping people with financial assistance. A true example of individuals and an organization putting service to others before themselves.
That's great stuff, Howard. And I think sometimes we forget we're all here in Cary. It's a pretty well off to do community. And we forget that right in front of us, there are people who have real needs. And you guys do a great job of responding to that. So thank you for sharing all that with us today, Howard. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, everybody else, for your time.
Okay. Well, everybody, these are just two of the organizations that have benefited from the support that comes from the chili dinner. We can see from the presentations, though, that our efforts are making a difference. And so I want to thank again Edna and Howard for their information and your efforts to mitigate hunger in the communities that you serve. And now I'm going to turn it back to Scott Schneider, our president, to move the event to a close.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ken. Those spotlight interviews were fantastic. I tell you, this for me, and I hope for everybody on this call, this is where the rubber meets the road. Hearing from our sponsors, certainly our name sponsor, Brian Reed, Town Bank, Anthony Blackman, Atlantic Tire and Service, our event sponsor, and you can hear what we are doing means to them and how they live their lives. And then we move on to our recipient partners, Rise Against Hunger, Edna Awanji. I loved it. It almost gives me chills to listen to this stuff. This is as Bob Griffin said in his note to everybody, this will be high impact. I don't know that you can get any more high impact than that. Another recipient partner, Howard Manning from Dorcas Ministries. I can't say enough to all you folks who have taken time to benefit our communities in a very positive way. You're all to be commended. Without you, we are not able to do what we're doing today, benefiting all these events and all the people that benefit from these events. So it's amazing. Let me just say, what you see here is Rotary Opens Opportunities. What is that? Some people know what that is. This is our theme for 2020, 2021. And it's all about putting service and fundraising efforts into tangible action through the collective efforts of our membership. And that's exactly what we're doing. This was a great example of how the collective good of a group of individuals can work together to benefit those that are less fortunate. And that's exactly what it is that we tried to convey today. You're seeing some events that we participate in. Being able to do the things that we've talked about today have to do with the people that are part of our clubs. A little bit about our Cary Club. We've got 100 members plus who are dedicated to serving communities, its youth, and underserved populations. Fundraising and service projects are varied and impactful. Our weekly meetings are always lively, consist of informative guest speakers, and are exciting. We're currently meeting virtually, of course, but we look forward to returning to our usual in-person format. And I'd like to say for any guests that we have, that are participating today, you're more than welcome to join us for any meetings, any upcoming meetings that we have. Feel free to reach out to me or any member of our club, and we'd be happy to bring you aboard so that you can see firsthand how we operate and the benefit that we can provide to those less fortunate. There's even more good news. As you can see, we've alluded to it earlier. I couldn't be any more proud of the fact that we've been able to get within this, that's pretty close to our goal of 35,000. I'm more than confident, supremely confident, we're going to hit our goal of 35,000. And to be able to do that, I'm going to ask that for anybody that has not yet been able to contribute, doesn't matter the amount. You can see an $8 meal sponsorship buys 24 meals. I'm not a math guy, but if you $16 will double that. The bottom line is every little bit will help us, and it will help those people that need it most. And so I'm going to ask that if you could, between now, if you haven't already, between now and Friday, February 5th, you can go into our website. As you can see there, it's also been posted in our chat room. And you'll find that this is a very intuitive website. It's very easy to navigate. You can decide exactly what you want to do. And if now isn't the right time, that's okay too. We just appreciate you being here and in sharing the good information that we've been able to provide today. And so I'd ask one last point, if I could. This is being videotaped. So if you'd like to share this program with anybody else, friends, family, relatives, distant cousins, whoever it might be, maybe they could benefit from hearing something like this. Maybe it would ignite some passion behind what they would like to help contribute to from a personal standpoint. And so with that, I'm going to once again thank everybody for attending our Cary Rotary Club Town Bank virtual chili dinner.